I am so excited today. We are at Custom House in Nashville, and we are with Roger Allen Nichols. I am so excited today. We are at Custom House in Nashville, and we are with Roger Allen Nichols, who is next door.
Yes.
At Belltone Recording Studio.
Recording,
Has I got
yeah,
that right?
yeah.
All right, cool. So we're just going to dive in. So you used to live in this house.
Did. Yes. That's an odd story to bring up right up. Yes. So Custom House is here at Azalea Place, 2810 Azalea Place. So I moved to Nashville in 1989. I came up from Atlanta. There was a band of musicians that were putting a group together in Boston. And these were guys that I've toured with over the years through a lot of the 80s. And I'd been in bands with them and toured. So they called me and said, we're putting a band together. We're looking at New York, LA, and Nashville. We're going to start in Nashville. And so we came to town and we spent a week here. Just kind of having meetings, talking about what we would do and how stylistically how we'd do this. And we found this house. And this house, better turn my phone off because it's beeping.
I was like, I thought I put mine on airplane mode.
So we found this house, and it was owned by an ecumenical film company.
A what?
An ecumenical film company.
Ecumenical.
Like it was like in a ministry, basically.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the exact
Ecumenical.
Oh, see, what is the exact definition of ecumenical?
Let's find out.
I've never heard that word in my life.
I just remember...
In my 50 years of life, as my dad would always say.
My 50 years of life. I just remember them saying, yes, it's owned by this ecumenical film company. I'm like, okay, so we had all these offices in here. You come down the hallway, and this area was all offices. And
representing representing a number of different Christian churches.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Perfect.
That's
Wow.
What it is. So we moved in. We turned all the offices into bedrooms. We had a theater in the back. It had 12 rows of theater seats. And we built a drum riser. We hung a PA, put a little control room in the back. And we lived here for about 4 or 5 years, and it was awesome. And then the studio beside me, Richard Dodd, who is an amazing engineer, an amazing guy. He's been a mentor of mine for a long time now. And he bought that house in '94. So he came over from London, from England, and bought that house. He was on a wave of success and had a really good, working on really big records at that time. So he wanted a studio. So right before we all moved out of this house, our keyboard player had run into a girl, and they had lived in that house too. So we would run between these two houses writing songs and hanging out. Yeah, it was really funny. So the way that I ended up in that space, Richard had converted it to a studio, and I had a space. I was renting the B room to a studio about a half a mile east of us here, and was there for a little over 10 years. It's a great little setup. And when the pandemic hit, the guy that owned the studio, who's a brilliant engineer also by the name of Jeff Pillar, decided that he was going to sell the A room and the B room, sell the building, and move to Chicago. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I think we're going to be safe. I'm like right in the middle of a record. I'm going, this is not going to be a problem because no one's going to buy anything during the pandemic. And we were pretty quiet for a long period of time, but then I get a call from the real estate agent, and he said, are you in your studio? I was like, yeah. He goes, I want to talk to you. So he comes by, he goes, we got a cash offer on the building, 14-day closing, the clock is ticking. And I was just like, oh, man.
It's just like you got to figure it out fast.
Crisis mode, right? Nothing worse than seeing a musician in crisis mode. It's like it's like something you'd see on Halloween. so I was running around screaming, looking for a place to to move to. So I'd found a couple of rooms, and they were pretty decent rooms. And Richard and I were talking one night, and he said, "Well, why don't you move into my space?" And I was like, "I would love that." So I met him the next morning. We talked out the plan, and because he had all of his gear in there and had to move it, and I had all my gear. So we basically worked out a plan, and I basically pulled the truck up right as he was locking the door and handed me the key, and I moved in and went right to work.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
So were there other studios at that time in this little area?
Oh, yeah. So Berry Hill. So when I was in Atlanta, I had gotten off the road. I was there for on the road for about 7 years, moved to Atlanta for about 3, and went to the Art Institute, was doing some sessions, playing with some artists, and there was an engineer there by the name of Mike Stone. And he was living there and teaching audio, and so he was an instructor of mine at the Art Institute. And when I told him I was moving to Atlanta, he said, "Well, let me tell you where you need to go. You need to move to Berry Hill." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Why is that?" He said, "Well, it is its own separate municipality, but it's under Nashville's umbrella, but it's got its own police force. The houses," he says, "there's a lot of studios there." He said it's zoned. The thing that makes this area so valuable or so important is it's mixed use zoning. So it's commercial zoning, and if you know anything about real estate, you could zone something. Going from residential to commercials doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, they don't like that.
No, you can go from commercial to residential, but it's harder, I think, to get the commercial zoning because it affects the utility rates and all this stuff.
Okay.
So there were a ton of studios in here.
Okay.
So when we moved into this house, there was Music Row, and then there was Berry Hill, and Berry Hill was kind of like the redheaded stepchild. It was kind of like where the Renegades went,
Yes.
All the big commercial studios were down on Music Row, and some fabulous rooms, amazing rooms, and the culture in Music Row was really cool. Because basically you have 3 streets down there that had all the labels, all the studios, and you would see, these guys walking down the streets with their guitars going on different songwriting, appointments, and
cool.
It was really amazing. I remember when. Anyways, let me go back to this. Let me not get off too far off subject here.
That's okay. You can wander and then come back. It's all good.
So when we moved into this house, there was Treasure Isle right beside us, and we knew that at that time that was a big deal.
Okay.
Still one of the best sounding drum rooms in Nashville, probably.
And that's next door on the other side.
That's on this side.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was the studio that became Blackbird, and then there was Creative Workshop on that side, and then up the road we had the Scruggs Studios.
Okay.
I think it was Scruggs. Yeah, it's where the circle will be unbroken and all that. It's a beautiful little room there, and there's always been studios all the way around here on both sides of Bransford. My understanding on Berry Hill is in the late 40s, early 50s, when they started building these houses, there's a National Guard about a half mile south of us, and to the east of us about 4 miles, there was an airplane manufacturing plant. So all the pilots that were in training, all the people that worked in the airplane manufacturing plant during the Cold War era lived in this area.
Oh, wow.
So they had their own school, they had parks for the kids.
Okay, and that's why it's like its own...
That's why they had their own police force and the whole thing.
Interesting.
So it's now Berry Hill is really the center of the recording community here in Nashville. It is, Music Row, they didn't jump on its zoning quick enough, and the developers came in, and the property became more valuable than what they were generating. So So a lot of studios have moved here. There's plans for Universal. They're going to put an enormous campus just on the other side of Bransford here. It's coming up. It's going to have a sound stage. And
Oh, wow.
the focus is, I think it's my understanding, and forgive me if I get this wrong, but my understanding is the focus will be on gaming music and strings and that kind of thing.
Cool.
Pretty
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of mixed rooms and
So in your career, it hasn't been mostly country, right?
no.
Like almost none.
I've toured with some country artists.
Okay.
So, and I've had to deal having a room where you have rent to pay and gear to pay for and that kind of stuff. You got to do stuff that you don't necessarily maybe seek out sometimes. And I did a lot of work for, when I first moved into my new room, I did a ton of mixing for publishing companies and that type of stuff.
Okay.
I've had a lot of relationships in this business in regards to writers. So I made a few calls saying, look, I'm absorbing some debt here, making this move. If you need anything, let me know. So I started doing a lot of mixing for demos. Nashville is the community in Nashville is changing
Yeah.
really, really fast. And the way Nashville was set up in regards to the music community, you had labels. So you had a record label, you had publishers, you had songwriters, and you had artists. You had producers, engineers, you had recording studios, then you had musicians that played on demos, and then musicians that played on masters, and then you had the touring musicians. And it was a one hand needed the other the entire time.
Yeah.
The label would sign the artist and the label would pick the producer would go to the publisher and say, we're looking for these songs. They'd put the word out. The writers would write the songs. They would go to the demo studios. Demo musicians would go there. They would play on the demos. Then the producer would pick the songs. They would then go from the demos to cut the masters. They'd bring in the guys to play on the masters. They would reimagine the songs or replicate them depending on how good the demo was. And then the label would put the product out. And that's just how it was a very delicate balance as far as the ecosystem. But that all started changing in the late 90s. As technology has enabled people to make records for cheaper. As streaming started to impact the dollar value that writers are making and publishers are making ultimately and labels are making. So there's been a lot that's taken its toll on that kind of a setup, that kind of a delicate arrangement between all the sources. So it's a little bit like the Wild West now. And what I found, and for someone like myself, it plays perfectly into what my skill set is, which is a little bit of everything. I play multiple instruments. I'm a writer. I can mix. I can engineer. I love to produce. So one day I might be playing. I might have files sent to me, and I might be playing on something for someone and sending the files back out, or I might have a band in that I might be writing with, and then tracking and then working on what they're doing. I might have stuff come from, I just mixed a record from a band from Norway, and I mixed another one from a band from Switzerland. So projects come in all over the place. Yeah. And it's like, okay, this week I'm putting on my mix hat, and I'm mixing tracks, and then next week I might be writing all week. So it's a little all over the place.
Can you do them interchangeably with ease? Or do you have to be like, this week I'm mixing, next week I'm playing?
No, it's a shotgun blast, basically.
Okay, cool.
There's you never know what's going to happen. But this is an interesting thing, how you think about the community. So we're talking about the balance between the two, different areas. So when I started mixing for demo stuff, I would also cut vocals. Like, a song might come from a demo session, and the two writers there may not have been a singer there to sing the demo the way they wanted it with the right voice and the right timbre and all that. So they would hire a demo singer. So I would, if the session came to me, then I would cut the vocals, maybe add stuff if they needed a guitar or whatever, or bring over another instrumentalist to do an overdub or whatever was needed. And then I would mix the track. I started noticing a trend in Nashville. They started signing what the term is, and it's kind of an odd term. It's called track guys.
Okay.
You probably hear the phrase, "Oh, you're a track guy." You know, like I had people asking me when at one point, "Are you a track guy?" And I'm like, "What's
I don't know what that is.
track guy?"
I have no idea what that is. No one's ever asked me that.
Well, what a track guy is a track guy is a guy that sits down with a laptop and has Logic or Pro Tools and can come up with a track really quick by throwing loops around and that kind of thing, right? So what the publishing companies figured out is as the dollar started getting squeezed out a little bit, you know, it became a little belts. They had to tighten their belts a little bit. One of the ways that they figured out, one of the solutions they figured out is they could sign a track guy to a writing deal.
Okay.
Now, there are some really talented track guys in this town. Brilliant. I just worked with a producer named Daniel James, who I would probably call, he's a track guy, I would say, but he's a hell of a musician. He's a hell of a player. He's just a super great guy. He has such a great knowledge of production. So, he is what you would hope every track guy would be, right? So as the publishing company started signing these track guys, they figured out, they went, okay, hold on a second. We could sign this track guy for $25,000 a year, give him a $25,000 a year draw. And all of a sudden, we don't, if there's something that he's working on, we don't have to pay for demos. Because at the end of the day, we have a demo that's louder than God and that's, really, it's done. It's paid for.
Yeah.
So, and then they figured out, hold on a second, we could take a track guy who may or may not be a writer. I've met a few who are not writers, but they're really creative at what they do. So the publishing companies figured out, hey, we sign a track guy and we send him in to write with an artist, because artists started understanding, oh, wait a minute. The way the town used to work, the artist was just the voice, just the image, right?
Okay.
You're the artist.
Right.
And the writers bring you the songs.
Yeah.
And the writers are always amazing,
Yeah.
But artists started figuring out, hold on a second. If I participate in the writing, I now have another income source, right? So as artists started looking for opportunities to write more with other writers, publishers figured out, hold on a second, we can take a legitimate writer. When I say legitimate, like a lyricist, a melody person, someone that can sit down and put chords together and that kind of a thing. We could send a writer along with a track guy in to write with the artist. And at the end of the day, we have a demo, right? And we have 2/3 of the copyright.
Yeah.
So it became a really great way for publishing companies to kind of protect a portion of their income and to speed up the process.
Yeah. And then the artist is on the demo.
The artist is singing the demo.
Yeah.
When you write a song with an artist, the artists are, if you're being pitched as an artist, if you're being pitched songs that you haven't written, you're looking for verbiage, you're looking for a message, you're looking for something in the lyric, and it's difficult to find the right song.
Okay.
It can be, as people are trying to tell their stories and try to, think about how an album's put together. Oh, I need a song that really needs, I really want to address the way I feel about home, So they're looking for songs that might have, and it's easier if the artist participates in the write, then you can write to what the artist needs.
Yeah.
And if you do that and you do it well, then you're got a better chance of getting a cut on the record than you do pitching to the artist.
Yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, it's an interesting thing. So I noticed that in my studio, in my business, as I was, doing a ton of mixing. There would be days I'd mix 6, 7 songs a day.
Wow.
And you got to do that in order for it to make sense financially, because the payment for demos mixes was not very
Right,
much.
yeah.
But it allowed me to kind of refine some things that I was trying to figure out from a mix standpoint, and it also gave me a source of income. But it literally stopped. It was like one month I had all these mix sessions. The next month I had nothing.
Wow. So it was that abrupt.
It was that abrupt. It was really interesting. And, this town is, it's not uncommon for a trend to sweep through this town. And I see it in the audio world all the time. You have you have a great engineer that buys a set of speakers and says this, and then the next thing you know, everyone in town goes out and buys a set of speakers. So it's the same way with writing.
Yeah.
You'll see trends that will kind of sweep through Nashville, like lyrical trends. You'll see it in country songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a funny town how that works.
So I think we were talking about like country, that it's not so much country.
Not
right?
anymore, no.
Yeah. That's one of the trends that you've seen sweeping through.
Yeah, well, it's
But you're not country. I mean, your genre has been like
I love rock and pop.
Yeah.
That is that's my forte. That's where I'm most comfortable. But country has also shifted.
Yeah, it sounds more like rock and pop.
Yeah,
and hip hop.
Yeah, it does. There's it's been a very interesting kind of melting pot.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little more comfortable in that genre now. And I it's funny. I write with there's one writer that I'm really good friends with, and we do a ton of writing, and we're actually going to be producing a project together. We've just started our first project, co-production venture. And I just finished a record on a rock guitar player, and he's a really well-known, beautiful player, and a super nice guy. And what we did is Skip, my co-writer in this situation is a guy named Skip Black. Skip he's written a lot of big country songs.
Okay.
And what I love about Skip is he knows how to button a lyric up. That's the one thing about the country writers. They know how to write to the hook, and they know how to button it up. So Skip is the one that introduced me to this artist that we were working with. So I said, well, let's all three write. And Skip it was so cool to watch him work in the context of a rock setting. Now he is he has a rock background, so it's not foreign to him.
Okay.
But he had been writing country stuff for a long time, and what he brought into the writing process was brilliant. It was like we got to the hooks quicker. There's some of the cadence that is now starting to show up more in a lot of the modern rock stuff. He brought that to the table because that kind of comes through country and through hip hop, and it was just really fascinating how all those things start to kind of blend together.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So the title of this podcast is Giving Music.
Yes.
And that's my job. So I wanted to tap in a little bit to you and how you give music. And I know that, this is going to be a long conversation, but just how also music came into your life in the beginning. Was there somebody that gifted it to you? Like, how did you start playing? Or let's start there.
Yes. So I can tell you the day that I picked up a guitar. I was playing with a friend of mine, a guy named Danny Weekly, who I grew up with. I was in 3rd grade.
Oh, cool.
And I remember coming out of Danny's house. We were playing with Hot Wheels, and I can remember the day. It was overcast. It was in the afternoon. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I came out of his house. And off in the distance across the street in this little like utility building in the back of this house, I heard a guitar player playing. And I was like, oh, what is that? And I remember walking up and knocking on the door, and this guy's name was Jim Hess. He had a band in town.
Where was this?
In Bridgeport, West Virginia.
Okay, thank you.
he had a band in town, and he was playing this red 335, and I was transfixed. I stood there for like an hour. It seemed like an hour. It may have been 5 minutes. I don't know. But just watching him play, and I'm going, that is what I'm doing. And I remember walking home going,
like done.
My mom was musical. Like my dad would bought my mom a guitar and bought her a dulcimer and just different things to try to, for her to express herself. And I confiscated all of them. I took them all. I was like, and I still got those instruments.
Oh, that's cool.
So I it was a very real moment when it
clicked.
Something
That's
clicked,
really
and I was
cool.
like, and I knew right then I was going, this is what I'm going to do, and I don't know I don't know what that means. I don't even know.
Yeah. You were what, like 10, 11?
Yeah, whatever you are in third grade. It's like. So, anyways,
maybe even younger, actually.
Yeah,
Sounds like
may have been. But I put a band together. I met another Roger in one of my grade school courses who I found out his name was Roger Stone King. And I was like, oh, your name, so we started talking, and I found out he had a drum kit and a guitar. And we had this other friend named Mike Hess. And Mike,
no relation?
No relation to Jim. That's a good, I'm glad you caught that. That's no relation to Jim Hess. And Mike was uber talented. I mean, just and Roger was talented too. And then we had this drummer. We had a couple of drummers that played with us, and then we found a drummer named Rob Baltzley, and Rob was the guy. And we grew up together. We put a band together, and we kept it together through our senior year in high school.
How did y'all know how to play?
We figured it out.
You just figured it out. Nobody taught you.
Here's the thing that's really fascinating is I laugh about those days because it really was, we were four guys that knew that we were on a mission from God. And we grew up together. So we'd all date the same girl. She'd come through Roger would date her, and then Mike would be dating her, then I would be, we all discovered beer together. We all discovered cigarettes, we grew up together.
That is so cool.
So, and that's kind of how we figured out music.
I'm really
too.
jealous, actually, because I always wanted that experience, and that was not how it happened for me. But that is amazing.
Some of my fondest, and here's the funny thing about it. My dad was a photographer. So my dad would I've got pictures of probably every gig we've ever done.
Oh, that is so cute.
Oh my God, some of them are just like amazing. But anyway, so Mike and I, and Roger and Rob, we had this band. And when we graduated from high school, Rob went to college, Roger went to college, Mike went to college, and I went to Florida to play with a band. So I knew that if I really wanted to do this, I had to I couldn't be in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Now times have changed, obviously. The internet has changed all of
now
that.
Now you could pretty much be anywhere, I guess.
Yeah, I can remember when all that started changing. It was really fascinating to watch. But we put bands together, I went on the road and started touring, and Mike became a doctor. And here's what I love about Mike. Roger and Rob are no longer with us, unfortunately. Wow. But Mike he became a doctor. He had his dad was a doctor, his uncle was a doctor. I think his sisters, and it was something that happened in their family quite a bit. And that they were all doctors, and no, not all of them. What am I saying?
But most of them.
Most of them.
Yeah.
But Mike was an amazing musician and pianist, and guitar player. And when he became a doctor, he kind of, music was more of something that was more of a hobby for him at that point. Mm-hmm. And he had a really successful practice in the town I grew up in. And he has since done some really cool stuff about giving back. You talk about giving back.
Yeah.
He's got this organization called CHIRP, which is Children Instrument Renewal Program.
Oh, you looked it up.
Yes.
The other night. You couldn't remember.
I called Mike. I'm like, you got to,
What was it? Chirp. I know it's CHIRP.
I know it's CHIRP. And what they do, they primarily cater to students like 5th grade through junior high, mostly. And West Virginia has got some really stressed out areas financially. Mm-hmm. And what he does is this organization finds used band instruments, they get them renewed, and then they give them back to the kids in that age because there's a lot of families that can't afford music.
Yeah.
And I love that. And then he put a band together called Albuterol and the Inhalers. And they...
I use an albuterol inhaler.
Yeah, isn't that funny? So they put it, and they were all doctors, and they would go do these benefits, and then they would get.
So
they
cool.
never took the money.
Right.
They would take the money and give it back to these different organizations, and you see that kind of stuff, and you go, man, that's what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got stuff for him.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
He is such a beautiful person, and the organization is great what he's trying to do, and what I love about that is he is he's got the joy of music. You know what I mean? It's like you run into people in town who do it on a professional level, and it's like
the joy sometimes gets lost when it becomes a gig, your job.
A job. That's right.
I don't think that's happened with you.
I would say no. Look, I've gotten a little crustier over the last several years. You get hit in the head with a 2x4 long enough, you start to want to push back. So, but I just love music. It's the only thing in my life that's ever made 100% sense.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't think you had a choice, obviously.
Yeah, well, trust me, I'm fortunate to be here. I'm fortunate to have to be in Nashville as long as I have, and have been able to sustain. You know?
So tell me, how you give music, what when you think about how you're giving music. I know you were talking about Mike, but for you.
Well, I do a lot of mentoring through Grammy U, and I try to get involved with mentoring stuff as much as I can. Mm-hmm. I love, and I have a lot of people that call me all the time going, hey, I'm thinking about moving to Nashville, and I've got a son who wants to become an engineer, or I've got a kid who wants to do. It's like, well, let's talk. So I will spend, as much time as they need just talking about stuff.
Yeah.
I also love developing young talent.
Yeah.
And when I say young, I don't necessarily mean age-wise, but I mean people who are getting into, who are putting their toe in the water.
Yeah.
And it's I love going through that process with them. With young bands, it's really fascinating because I understand band culture. I understand how that works. I'm very comfortable in that environment working with bands. And what I get a lot of joy over is sitting in a room with a young band and going, all right, let's put this together. How are we doing this? You know, and showing them the process of going, this is how, when you're writing a song, these are some things you got to think about, and oh, I never thought about that, and I'm constantly working with young talent that way, just trying to enlighten them.
So I've been thinking a lot about how rock bands, that there's not a lot of new current rock bands, and I've been thinking is rock dead? And then what I realized is that there's a lot of rock bands, it's just they're not the ones that are becoming famous.
Well, that's again, you're getting into rock radio. Rock radio was obviously huge in the 90s. Music was huge in the 90s. Because there was a lot of money to be spent in the 90s, right? Labels were reissuing stuff on CDs, selling those for $22 a pop, and people were buying it left and right because they were, they wanted to hear their back catalog in a better format.
Yeah, for sure.
So all of a sudden, labels had tons of money. So there was a ton of bands being signed, and it was funny. I mean, I remember the 90s in Nashville. I was playing with my band, but one of the jobs that I had was I had a buddy who had a cartage company.
Okay.
And do you know what I mean when I say cartage?
Yeah,
company?
I mean they're the ones that take the gear and everything to the absolutely.
So you have a session player who will call and say, "Hey, I'm working tomorrow at Treasure Isle. I've got a 10 o'clock at Treasure Isle, and I've got a 2 o'clock in Franklin." Mm-hmm. So you'd have to be responsible for getting the gear there and set up. So I had this buddy that had a cartage company, and it was one of the only jobs I could keep at the time because I was in and out of town traveling.
Yeah.
And man, it was crazy. The 90s were crazy in Nashville. You'd walk into a studio and it would be a masseuse and there'd be catering and there'd be a chef, and it was just like, man, where's all that money coming from, And you just see the benefit of what happens when a format change, when there's a format change and there's a big influx of music or money. People are like, oh, time to spend some money and have some fun.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that happened is you'd see a lot of bands that would have, you spend $22 on a CD and it'd be like one good song, You remember when that was happening?
Yeah.
And it was like, you could almost picture what happened. The label would send an A&R guy into a club. They go, yeah, that song sounds like it could be a hit if I put him with this producer. What about the other songs? We'll figure it out,
Yeah.
And because you got to spend the money.
Yeah. So you don't think rock is dead?
No, I don't think rock is dead at all. I think you're going to have to, I'm like Moses. I'm going to wander through the woods here. So I don't think rock is dead. I just think that the radio format, what is radio driven by? Radio is driven by ad sales.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you hear country music, you can pick a country station out. If you turn the music off and just listen to the advertising, it's going to be, Ford trucks, Yeti coolers, Bass Pro Shop, Wrangler jeans, right? So then you go, okay, if that's the ad dollar, then what's the demographics? Male, 19 to 35, right? So artists want to be heard on the radio, so they're looking for songs that are going to appeal to those demographics so that they can get on the radio and be heard. So,
Interesting. Okay.
So that's why you turn on country radio and you're hearing a lot of the same kind of similar sounding content stuff. It's because that's what has to happen in order for those songs to be played on the radio.
Got it.
Rock, rock, it's not that it's dead, it's changing. It's the active rock is huge. But it doesn't have the same soul as a lot of the earlier rock does. And it's also, everything's kind of splintered now. Yeah. There are so many lanes for artists now. Yeah. You could be an circus employee that loves painting chipmunks, and you like to write songs about it. There's probably a good chance you could find a community of people that love that kind of stuff, because that's the way it is now.
Or you could be a rapper and then suddenly you become a country star.
I mean, yes, seriously.
Yeah. I mean, like that, we used to be very like in our lane, you said lanes, but now I feel like those lanes are crossing and almost like there's really nothing that defines a genre. I mean, at least I'm just speaking to country right now because that's actually what I listen to the most. And it's like kind of crazy because it sounds like pop, it sounds like hip hop, it sounds like rock, and it's like, I don't know. I think that's really cool. And I'd like to give my hat off to like the younger generations for doing that, because I feel like, even as a classical musician, it was like, that's what you did. Yeah. You didn't do anything else. And if you did, people kind of looked down on you. Yeah. So I think that's really, I'm excited about that.
Well, you could trace some of that back to different people. For example, the rock influence and the pop influence. There are producers in town like Dan Huff, who have made some amazing records, and he's a stunning guitar player and an amazing person. He's really gifted. And he grew up in Nashville. He went to LA and played on Madonna's records, on Michael Jackson's records, and did a lot of session stuff. And then he came back to Nashville and started doing sessions here. So all of a sudden,
he had that influence.
You have someone that has that influence. You take a track guy, all of a sudden now you hear hip hop elements in country songs because
Yeah.
you got a track guy that's pulling those elements into the demos.
Yeah.
And they're bringing something out of these artists. They're bringing something out of the writing experience that Nashville had not heard before. It's like, oh, what is that? You know, and have had success with it. And when something is successful, it's only a matter of time before there's 40 other people trying to replicate that.
Yeah. Can we talk about this? Like, what? It's not a comet, but what did you call it? The three.
Three-Eye Atlas.
I want to talk about this right now because this is fascinating to me, and I didn't know anything about it.
We're going off. We're going really off script.
This is what I do. All right, I'm just like.
I don't.
And then we're gonna dig into your childhood trauma. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about that. Keeping it light.
Yeah, Three-Eye Atlas is really weird. It's this interplanetary object that isn't from our solar system, that is coming through our solar system. It's enormous. It's the size of Manhattan. It's traveling at a really fast rate of 250 kilometers an hour is what.
Fast enough for the sun to not be able to capture it.
Yeah. So it's blazing, and there's all of these things that they're noticing about how this comet acts that breaks every rule. So what I love is that, because that's what happens in music. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, just here comes another comet. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, this way. All right, yeah, we'll shop you in this market and see what. And then you have one comet that comes through. It's like, hey, I'm juggling cats now. You go, wow, that's different. Let's sign this guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Okay,
know.
so now your childhood trauma. So you got hit by a car.
Oh, childhood trauma. Well, I had many traumas as a child because I was the middle child.
Oh, okay.
Two older sisters and two younger brothers.
Wow.
And so I think the middle child's always the great negotiator, right? That's what they
okay.
say. Middle child always negotiates.
So Roger, you're really special to Custom House. And I as the newcomer, I was wondering, what is it about these people that makes it so special? Because I believe that too. You walk in and you just feel the great energy, and everybody's just a sweetheart in their own,
Well, first of all, it doesn't feel like a music store.
Yeah.
Right? And I love that. I love what Greg has done with this place. Greg and Erica and the staff, they've done such a great job of creating an environment that you want to just go, hey, check this place. I'll have clients over that'll come in. I'm like, you got to go next door and see this place. It's cool. It's fun, pool table, there's a bar, it just feels really nice.
Yeah.
And Greg is just on a mission that I absolutely love. He is all about community.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect for Berry Hill, because Berry Hill is definitely a community. But an example of how great this place is, I had especially have it being next door, I had a band in one time, and we were working on a series of songs. And I had it set up where I had an amazing assistant named Jessie Brady, and she is brilliant. So I had her set up in the kitchen, and I was handing files off to her that she would edit while we were working on the next group of songs, right? So we just kind of had this little setup going. And we were having trouble. We tracked the first song. We were having trouble getting things to work on her laptop with Pro Tools. And it's a problem I'd not seen before. So I was going, So I told the band, I said, hey, you guys go take a break. I'm going to walk around and think about this. I mean, I need to, I'll call you about 7:00, and we should have it figured out by then. So I'm just kind of thinking about it. I'm like, I'm just going to walk around a minute. I just wanted to get out of the studio, clear my head. So I come over here. And I walk up, and I'm like, hey, guys, good to see you. What's going on? Hey, and they're like, I'm like, do you guys know of a Pro Tools guru that I can get? And they're like, yeah, Johnny.
Johnny, yeah.
And they pointed Johnny. And Johnny's like, yeah. And I said, man, I'll buy you lunch tomorrow if you come over and take a look. So he comes over, and 5 minutes later, everything's up and running great.
No way.
I call the band and
come on back.
And it was great because I was telling the band, I was saying, yeah, Berry Hill's a great little community. And they're like, oh, really? How? And then to see something like that happen blew their minds. They're like, you just went next door and they had a Pro Tools. And it's like, welcome to Nashville, you know.
That is so cool.
I love this place. As you mentioned, as we talked about, I lived in this building. So this whole area is so special to me. It is, I got deep roots here in this community, and I love it. And what Greg is doing, you know, I see how he treats the clients, how everyone treats the clients here. I've got some friends who have done a large amount of business with these guys, and they've always treated them in the best possible way. And Chad Evans, who I love Chad. Chad, I've been buying gear from Chad for a long, long time. So it just, to me, I just go, these are people that I trust. And I see what they're doing. I see the attitude. I see how they are, they're gracious and they're great to be around and to work hard to get you what you need. You see all of that stuff and you go, man, what a great place, you know?
Yeah.
And the energy with the vibe with those guys they're great.
Yeah. Well, and they've kind of adopted us at the foundation. So now, you know, we've done so many cool things. And, you know, Tuesday night when we were here, we had all the volts that we were giving away from UA. And so it's just like, you know, it's just having your pulse on like the community, like you said, and what people need and supporting the musicians. And so I was just like so excited to meet you and have you come over and share your story. And
well, thank you. I hope I didn't bloviate too much, but I will say this. I will say this about the what's so special about what Greg and Erica and everyone's doing here. This business is tough. It is.
Yeah.
It is always no. It's, you know, when an artist sits down in front of a publisher or a writer sits down in front of a publisher or a label or whatever, the answer is not yes. They don't look for reasons to sign you. They look for reasons to not sign you, right? Because everyone and your mother wants to be an artist, you know? And the technology allows us to have that experience, but there's something about the legitimate aspect of the business, the structure of the business and how it operates in Nashville. And it can be a tough place. And when you're used to hearing no all the time, it's so amazing to walk in when you need to buy something and you hear yes. And you just go, holy cow, it's special. It really is. It really is something. So I'm grateful that there are neighbors.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful I get to come over to my old house here and look around.
Where was your bedroom?
Down front.
Okay.
If you go down around by the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right, back in that corner.
Oh, funny.
There was an office
And
down
do you
there.
feel that vibe? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love that. Even though it's totally remodeled and stuff, you still feel like
it's
the vibe.
It is so awesome. I mean, I'll stand there from my mixed position. I can see the park across the street, and every now and then I can still see us out there as 20-year-old kids throwing a football. And,
how cool!
And we used to live in that park. You know, we'd write every night and work here and rehearse, and then sometimes we'd go out and throw a ball around and that kind of stuff. It's a great community. Here's another thing about this community that's amazing is the police force.
Okay.
The Berry Hill Police Force does not mess around. They take their job very, very seriously. And one example is I had a band in working one day, and we wrapped up our sessions, and the very next day my wife and I left and went on a trip, drove up to Vermont. So it was a day and a half later. We're near the Canadian border, about 6 o'clock in the evening, and my phone alarm goes off. I'm like, oh shit! Oh heck! Sorry about that cuss.
We can cuss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can cuss.
I was like, oh shit, man! An alarm's gone off. Like, I guess, oh no! So I called the Berry Hill Police Department, and I said, hey, this is Roger Nichols, and I gave him my studio address. I said, the alarm, we'll take care of it. All right, we'll call you back. Call me back. 7 minutes later. And said, yes, your front door was unlocked. We checked it. We swept the building to make sure it was clear, and we've locked your studio back up. And I was like, thank you.
That's
wow.
Cool. That's
I mean,
cool.
it was just like, it was just incredible. I mean, this community,
this is a special place. That's what I've realized. Like, this is one of the comparisons that I make, and tell me if I'm right, but it seems like in Nashville, people genuinely support each other.
Yeah.
I mean, because the event that was here on Tuesday, there were people from the competitors, and it's just like, but everybody's just kind of like friends and works together and supports each other, and I love that about Nashville.
It really is. I mean, there's, look, it's everyone in this town is somewhat guarded on the work that they're doing because, you don't want to, there's nothing worse than someone that's like, oh yeah, I'm producing this and working, it's like,
yes, exactly.
So it's that can get a little taxing, but everyone, it can change in a heartbeat. You can brag about working on something and then it be taken away from you for some reason 5 minutes later. It's such a weird business. So
Right.
people are always kind of guarded on it, but everyone helps everyone out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's a thing here that happens in Berry Hill on the first Wednesday of every month. They have a little thing over here at the burger place where a bunch of engineers get together and talk and hang out
cool.
and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of really good things about Nashville and this community.
Yeah.
What I love about Nashville, they take making records very serious. They take the recording process serious. They take the musicality very serious, and people work really hard in town to make a difference. Mm-hmm. It's good energy to be around.
Well, Roger, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming in today and making the time. And I could talk to you for another 2 hours.
Well,
So
I will. I'm like the guy. I'm like the Energizer. But you wind me up, and it's like, let him go. All right. Stop. Next question.
oh, well, you're a very special human being. So I'm excited to know you.
So nice to meet you guys, and it's just I love this place, and I love Custom House and what they're doing. I just feel like they're tapping into something that is sorely needed in this
Yeah.
business, and that's some humanity.
Yes. Yes.
It is. It's just
Yes.
it's as simple as it is. It's like, it's easy to get to walk through this business and just feel like you don't have anything to stand on, and when someone helps you, it's just like, wow, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
That's what's great about them.
Cool. Yay.
Hey, thank you.
You made it to the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed it. It was so inspirational for me. If you enjoyed it, please like us, please follow us, subscribe, comment in the comments, do all the things. Go to guitarcenterfoundation.org, make a donation, help us continue to give music to people who need it the most.